Welcome to Heaping Spoonful, a twice-monthly conversation with restaurateurs, chefs, growers, and others who have helped generate the legends associated with the eateries across the Mid-South. The team at Benny Keith is proud to sponsor this adventure with the goal of preserving the stories that have helped cultivate an amazing food scene across the Mid-South. So kick back and enjoy a Heaping Spoonful.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Heaping Spoonful. I am Kelly Bass, and it is my pleasure, my distinct pleasure, after decades of writing about restaurants for Little Rock newspapers and magazines, to be the host of this podcast and just talk about restaurants and the people who make them great. Our goal with this podcast is to cast the spotlight on chefs and restaurateurs from across the Mid-South who make this one of the most vibrant food scenes in the country. Today, we are talking with a couple of guys who are doing just that. Sam Russell and Hunter Kissinger. Sam is CEO, co-founder, and co-owner of the Buttered Biscuit, which has 4 locations in Northwest Arkansas that have been big hits since the day they opened between 2017 and 2021. Hunter is director of operations, and when you have 4 booming restaurants, you need a guy like Hunter to oversee what's going on day to day across all 4 of your properties. So welcome to Heaping Spoonful, Sam and Hunter.
Thank you so much. Really privileged to be on.
Yes, glad to be here.
Y'all. Good. Well, Sam and his wife Anna opened the first Buttered Biscuit and their first restaurant in April of 2017 in Bentonville, Arkansas. And those of us who love that city, and a growing number do all the time, we understand that much of what we love is thanks to Walmart in one way or another. Besides being the major employer in the region and in the state, and in the country and in the world, Walmart also requires its largest vendors to have a bricks and mortar presence there, which has really been important for the growth of that area and the quality and number of people who are there. And then the Walton family has sunk so much of its own money into the area, best known by Alice Walton, that's Sam Walton's daughter, her 8 or maybe even 9-figure investment in Crystal Bridges, the renowned Museum of American Art. And then also her nephew's investment in restaurants, bike trails, and other quality of life amenities. We now have the world's best mountain biking is right there in Bentonville, Arkansas. We also have Walmart to thank for Anna and Sam Russell moving to Bentonville from Michigan. So, Sam, tell our Heaping Spoonful listeners what led Anna and you to Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, thank you so much. We first came down here as a vendor for Walmart. I was the senior brand growth manager for Kellogg's, and that brought us to the area to lead the Walmart account. And we very quickly realized this is a once in a lifetime space down here in Bentonville. A lot of fun stuff is going on.
And so let's talk a little bit about your Kellogg's role. So I know you've just talked about sort of what your title was. What was your day-to-day work at Kellogg's and obviously the products that sold into Walmart?
Yeah, absolutely. I did over a decade-long career with Kellogg's. During my time, I did everything from sales, corporate strategy, branding, but specifically here in the Northwest Arkansas corridor, basically everything you saw on shelf, displays that represented or was owned by the Kellogg brand in the snack food subcategory of Kellogg's went across my desk. We were responsible for creating in-store marketing campaigns that were unique to Walmart in all 5,000 Walmart stores across North America. It was a really exciting role because we both then dovetailed with Walmart's initiatives, but then we also kept in focus the priorities of what Kellogg's wanted to communicate to the consumers. A really great opportunity that really started highlighting that if you don't meet the needs of your customers, you're not going to sell a lot of biscuits.
Sure. And when those lessons are something you've continued to learn and to follow. So when people think about Kellogg's, they think, I picture a box of Corn Flakes or Tony the Tiger on a box of Frosted Flakes. But what are some of the major non-cereal brands that you worked with and worked on. You talked about snack foods. What are some of the ones that we would all recognize? We just didn't know it was owned by Kellogg.
Yeah, so a couple of the big ones that I would say if you probably have in your pantry today would be Cheez-Its. I was actually responsible in one of my roles for launching a product called Grooves. It was one of the largest Cheez-It cracker launches in the history of the company. We, within the first 3 months of launch, we did over $45 million worth of sales, and I was the key marketing strategy guy to bring that to market. It was really fun. Internal competition we had with the other major brand you may be aware of, which is called Pringles, is also a Kellogg's brand. And we were both had kind of a large mega launch at the same time, and we had some friendly internal competition. That was just, again, a way that you can bring some energy. Cheez-Its, Pringles, Keebler cookies were kind of your big products. There were some natural organic brands with Kashi. There was at Morningstar Farms. Man, there was a whole bunch of brands, outside of the cereal aisle, Pop-Tarts and Eggo. But specifically in the snacks categories, our workhorses were, Cheez-Its, Townhouse Crackers, and Club Cracker brands were kind of our big workhorses, and then obviously the Pringles brands.
Well, we have so much to talk about to both of you guys about the Buttered Biscuit. We're going to get there, but I got to bring up one thing that's not even something I told you I was going to ask about, but in doing my exhaustive research, I saw an article that I guess was done by the newspaper related to the college where you went that said, you started your Kellogg's work while you were in college, and that people used to come to your room to get cereal, and you had a Tony the Tiger on, and they would sign it. Just give us a brief bit on that.
I love that you dug that up, Kelly. Breakfast is in my DNA from a very early age. In college, you quickly realize it's a social game. And through a business organization called SIFE, or Students in Free Enterprise, it's now been renamed Enactus. I got connected with a recruiter for Kellogg's at one of their national events. I was the president of our business team. And with that relationship, I began an internship in college. And one of the perks was that I got all the innovation cereals. And they were meant to sell to key accounts. And well, as an intern, I got put on this distribution list in full awareness of my manager. And but they didn't send 1 or 2 boxes. They would send a case of cereal. We're talking 12 boxes of cereal. And I had everything from Barbie cereal to the newest Special K cereal. And college is a social game. So, I very quickly realized that you create an activity in which college kids love, which is cereal. And I would tell people, bring your own milk. I've got the bowls and the spoons and the cereal, and we'll have cereal parties. And Kelly, it was a fun experience to bring hundreds of college students through my dorm door. And we had late night cereal parties. We had morning cereal parties. It was certainly created a movement on the campus, kind of a pro Kellogg movement. And this event, and I now have signatures on these Tony the Tiger cutouts for people who are now holding public office. They are top of their careers. And it's like, you remember those cereal parties? I mean, it was good, wholesome fun, Kelly. Yeah.
Well, one other thing is that college students typically are broke, so free food is always appreciated in college too. So, okay, once Anna and you got to Bentonville, you found what a lot of people find in their own towns, and I've lived that in Little Rock, Arkansas, is a dearth of local breakfast options beyond the occasional greasy spoon. But typically, for most people, it's meet for breakfast and a chat. We're going to be at at Waffle House or at IHOP. So I guess that's what you found in Bentonville, and you all put your heads together a little bit and started thinking.
It was a really, I really have to give all the credit to Anna, my wife. She's still majority owner in this business. It's a women-founded and women-owned company, and it's a privilege to be able to work underneath her vision. And really, what she saw was that Bentonville was lacking a handcrafted cooking breakfast experience where people could come in and feel like they're at home, where people can be loved, and that the whole purpose of the business was to focus on people and food. And there's her background, certainly lent itself to being compassionate towards people. And with my background of building brands, when she brought up this idea, she's like, Sam, I prayed about it and God just gave me immense courage. So I've already started calling business brokers and realtors, and I really want to do this. It was a bit of a moment where you say, like, do you trust your wife and want to support her in her vision? And I think at that moment, I realized, I'm going to get 100% behind this and leverage the tools and experience I had at building brands to help fuel her passion and bring it to life. I think it's a great lesson for all husbands out there who want to help support their wives in a passion project. Because at that time, I was still assuming that my career was kind of going to be the primary breadwinner of the family, and certainly had to take a bite of humble pie and recognize that wanted to kind of get behind my wife's vision. And doors, Kelly, just started opening up. Bentonville is an amazing culture for startups, and it's amazing culture for business to where people want to support other individuals who want to do great things in business. And we very quickly realized that this community is primed for business incubation, and a breakfast restaurant was one thing that this town really wanted.
Right. And Anna family had a restaurant, right?
Yeah, there was some loose affiliation with some restaurants in Michigan, but she does come from a long line of entrepreneurs. So her great-grandfather was an entrepreneur. Her grandfather was in insurance. Her dad was insurance. Her and her whole family went in and did a fair bit of real estate kind of investing back during the early mid-2000 crash. And then coming out of that, they did well. But really all connection with the restaurants up in Michigan were very tertiary. Her older brother kind of took kind of ran that direction, kind of left the rest of the family high and dry. But I think her experiences with restaurants really came in. She was a server at one point, and I think that it was just really beautiful to see her, I guess, have the courage to be bold enough to say, I've served at a restaurant, but I've never even managed a restaurant. How do we do this? And again, I really want to just highlight, Benny Keith was a critical partner early on, and how we kind of brought together the menu design and made it work, and really get this concept off the ground. In every one of our restaurants, and I want to highlight one thing. Every one of our restaurants, there's a rolling pin or a signed autographed board on the wall. And what this represents is this isn't just my wife and I. This is all the people in the community who made these restaurants come to life, because they are fixtures built for the community, by the community. And we really see this as a significant component of our brand, because what this represents is that it is not just the expertise of Sam or Anna. It is the will of the people that these businesses exist.
And, particularly, I think a breakfast place is really a gathering place, and it's a place people get their day started and they enjoy a cup of coffee, and you serve really nice Onyx coffee. And then also, it's just where they they break bread together, and I can see where you build a sense of community as well. So once, Anna, you were letting her run with the vision. How long was it between when she first started making those phone calls and you guys got your first restaurant open? Was that a pretty lengthy period of time, or did it happen pretty quickly?
So from the time she first started making calls to the time we opened our business was 12 months. By the time we purchased the building, it was 9 months. Our construction phase, once we closed on the building to opening the building, was 40 days.
Wow.
Mind blowing.
It's moving.
We have never been able to replicate that timeline in any of our other businesses, in any of our other locations. I wish we could. The startup capital for that initial location was under $200,000, including all FF&E, which again, mind blowing. Never been able to replicate those numbers. And I think, again, it kind of goes back to, I cannot restate enough the kind of the support of the community and what we would believe is actually the favor of the Lord, to bring this concept to life. My wife and I are both believers, and we're certainly, proud to talk about the point that we know that we're each on a journey of faith, and we think that as we seek to love others, it gives us a significant purpose in why we do what we do.
Yeah, and that's fabulous, and clearly it's playing out now 4 times over in that fabulous region of our great state. And so another thing I read was that once you all did get the Buttered Biscuit open there in Bentonville, and the first one, and saw the support you were getting from the natives and the visitors to that city, it didn't take long for you to decide that that the Buttered Biscuit was your career path, as opposed to continuing to be on the rise at Kellogg's. So you made that decision moderately quickly, right?
Absolutely. We opened on a Monday. On Friday, I submitted my resignation letter. It was really funny.
I'm sure they were surprised.
They about fell out of their chairs. Kelly, it's interesting, again, working a decade, over 11 years, over a decade, having all perks and benefits associated with a corporate position, on everybody's chart of high potential growth candidate, to walk in and say, hey, I'm going to go and try this restaurant thing over here, I think about knocked them over. I got 2 calls from senior leaders in the organization basically questioning my decision. And it was amazing to see. The first day on Monday, I walked in thinking I'm just going to go give my wife high five, say, way to go. This has been a big push to get through and get this building open. Congratulations. And then I'm going to go to work. I was wearing my wingtip shoes and, nice slacks. And, at 4 p.m., I'm dirty, oily, greasy. I never walked out of that building on Monday, and because we were mobbed from the moment we first opened our doors, and it was a really unique sensation, and very quickly realized this is a concept that we want to grow.
Sure, and again, we'll get to that more about that in a minute. But I'm going to turn over to your colleague now. So Hunter, at what point in the trajectory of the Buttered Biscuit did you join the team?
Yeah, I joined the team. They had opened up the Springdale, or were looking to open up the Springdale location. And they just opened up I Street in November. And Sam and I happened to really just kind of a moment where we were sitting at a McDonald's and we're having a conversation because we were a part of a local ministry together. And I just started asking questions similar to how you are about Sam's story. And he started asking me those same questions, and was like, man, we're about to open up a restaurant in Springdale, and was telling me about where the location was at. And I'm like, man, I grew up 1.5 miles from there. That's where my house is. I went to Harbor High School, which is, literally across the street, basically from the location. And he offered me the job. And at that conversation, it was kind of like, man, this is crazy. Is this really happening? Type of thing. And January 6th, I started. January 20th, we opened up the Springdale store.
Wow, that was number 2. Yeah. And what had you done before taking on that role with the Buttered Biscuit?
So I played college football and was pursuing a professional career, and pivoted to work with Fellowship of Christian Athletes for almost 3 years, and then the local ministry that Sam was a part of, I was actually a part of that nonprofit called Men Sharpening Men. And I basically invested my time in the younger generation, people who were on that I was, specifically athletes, and spent some time at the U of A working with those athletes. And so just investing into people was kind of what I was doing prior. And that's ultimately what allowed me and Sam to sit down and have a conversation the day that I joined the team.
That's great. And, it obviously Sam and you both now understand something that I came to understand some few years back, which is hire good people, good, smart, devoted, caring, hardworking people, and then they can learn the part they need to know about restaurants. That's nothing. Nobody was born knowing that, so they can teach it. And clearly, it's worked out because y'all are still hanging tight for all these years. So there are a lot of, and Sam, you've already mentioned this, but there are a lot of restaurant success stories that involve one and only one restaurant. I've been a reviewer and I've done a lot of these podcasts now. And in the Little Rock market, Brave New Restaurant and Trios immediately come to mind. Very well-known owners, very present owners. One spot. I don't know if they ever thought about a second spot, but if they did, they never did it. So it sounds like, Sam, I guess when you saw how you and Anna saw how the Buttered Biscuit was being received, and the fact that it was really clearly the only option in that very important niche of the breakfast market, I guess you all pretty quickly said, hey, we need to do at least number 2. Just, you can't go to 4 unless you do 2. So did y'all pretty quickly start thinking about that led to the opening in Springdale and Hunter jumping in and helping out?
We really saw, we started thinking about expansion, I would say, probably really actively about 6 months after we opened the first one. But again, with my background, and this is where my wife is a visionary, I am the integrator originally in the company. We built the business so that we could scale, meaning that very quickly we started putting in processes, recipes, manuals, checklists. They've been adapted, changed, and developed, obviously, since those opening days. But very quickly, we started putting these simple, how-to processes in place. I'm not a restaurant guy. My wife is not a restaurant gal. The menu she came up with, we developed in the span of one evening sitting at our kitchen table. And then we partnered with Benny Keith and said, hey, this is our menu. Can you help us out with this? And it was a very fast relationship. But very quickly we realized we have to learn how to develop this brand on the back of expert restaurant cooks, managers, and staff. And what we saw, 2 things. One is we actually had a big demand for the breakfast, which was helpful. But we also had a big demand of staff who wanted to work with our team. We quickly realized that restaurant people in general, as staff, they're underserved by good operators who really love the people. And what we saw was we couldn't hire enough of the people that we wanted to hire. And we started realizing that more places need quality employers who want to give back to their employees in the restaurant space, want to invest in them. So it was a both and. It was both the demand of the breakfast, underserved kind of in our demographic, but it was also the staffing that we could put in place and the procedures. It took a while, though, to develop. Our number 2 location was supposed to be Springdale. We actually had it under construction. And the second location in Bentonville was a fellow restaurateur who tried to open a restaurant, really didn't go so hot. And he came to me and said, hey, would you be interested in my location and taking over my lease? And that was on the opposite side of town. And we went ahead and just said, yep, let's do it. And at that time, we actually opened up 2 locations at the same time. The one in Bentonville ended up opening slightly faster than the one in Springdale. So what was supposed to be location number 2 turned out to be location number 3. It's kind of a funny internal. We still have it labeled in POS as location 2, but it's actually location 3. It's kind of funny. But it's just because of that kind of rapid expansion. What we realized is a lot of restaurants we saw would try to move from a successful small location, close it, and go open up a big location in another geography, thinking that all of their customers are going to come with them. What we realized is instead of trying to move our existing location, the original one on Moberly, which was bursting at the seams, couldn't find parking, people were parking in empty lots. We get calls from the city about cars blocking roads and driveways. Sure. We figured, let's just open one up 3 miles away and draw some of that demand to the other side of town. And that's exactly what we did. And it worked out really, really smoothly. Once you get to 3 locations, a really beautiful thing happens within restaurants, and you start to gain efficiencies in operational, especially being in a tight geography, to where we actually were able to start this is when we put an area manager into place and promoted Hunter from store manager to area manager. And he was able to start taking some of the load off of my shoulders of the operational side and actually be able to focus on the growing the business at a faster rate.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, you have a lot of back office efficiencies. I hope there's efficiencies in purchasing and some other ways. And for people, we hope we have Heaping Spoonful listeners all over the country, if not the world, and maybe, interplanetary. But for those who aren't familiar with Northwest Arkansas, first off, it's one of the fastest growing regions in the country, but it has a corridor that starts south with Fayetteville, which we'll talk about more in a minute, and then up through Springdale, Rogers, and into Bentonville. So it can be a pain to drive from the top to the bottom or back and forth just because there's a lot of folks there, but it gives you a nice critical mass of people and of markets. So again, the successful, and I was going to say, was the opening the second and third easier than the first, but it sounds like in terms of capital, in terms of time, you actually spun out that first one faster than you were able to do and less money up front than you were with 2 and 3. But again, I think you hit on a really important point, which is how you treat your employees can separate you from the pack, and the reputation spreads in a very tight community of the restaurant world. And it's like, hey, you're going to come like working for Sam and Anna and Hunter. They're going to treat you right. So I would hope that as you did 2 and then 3, that you were able to staff those with the same quality folks that you were able to do with the first one.
We staffed them phenomenally well. The problem is that like the rest of the world, we opened Springdale. We opened location number 2 in November of 19 and Springdale in January 20th of 2020. So we had an awesome opening crew. The problem was a month and a half later, they all got
Yes,
furloughed.
I'm well aware.
And and again, this was an opportunity that when I sent out that furlough message, Kelly, it was one of the most gut-wrenching things, because I knew that these staff, we built a commitment and a contract with, a social contract, not a paper contract that said,
Sure.
Look, you give us your time and energy and expertise, and we're going to compensate you, but we're also going to give you place, significance of being, and purpose of why you and we want to build a community around you. And the hardest thing during COVID was recognizing that we had to cut loose about 75 employees to 80 employees and say, like, we can no longer be your community. So what we did is we tried to wrap our arms around them in different ways. We pushed them as many resources as we could. We helped guide and walk them through unemployment. We tried to approve their unemployment claims as quickly as possible, because our contract with them didn't stop when we furloughed them. It just continued and changed. And I think we saw the benefit of that on the back end when we reopened. We opened as fast as we could, because my saying was, hey, if Walmart's open across the street, we're going to open. And we were probably a little on the edgy side to try to open. But I figured, hey, if people can check out at self-checkout scans, they can certainly come sit here and eat some breakfast.
Right.
And it benefited us because we got our team back. We got a vast number of our employees back immediately after the legal closure lifted in Arkansas. And we've seen, I was just in one of our stores today, and one of our servers, a gal named Morgan, she opened the I Street location, and she's still there. And her 2 boys were waiting to get picked up by their dad, and they were in there. And it's beautiful to see 4 years of relationship as we are not only investing in Morgan, but now her son works for us, and we're changing and impacting his life, and his younger brothers are getting to watch what goes on. And we're really trying to be a generational business and changing the pathway that most restaurant workers think of this as just a dead end role. We want to give them hope in the future.
Yeah, well, as you continue to grow it, there's more opportunities opening up. I mean, Hunter's living proof that you can move up as the business grows, your career grows, and your responsibilities grow. So you get through COVID, you open up as quickly as you can, and I guess maybe a year and some amount later, number 4 happens in Fayetteville.
We wanted to make Fayetteville number 2. I promise you, we looked harder at Fayetteville than we did any of these other markets because we knew that Fayetteville is really the key to the region. They've been with the University of Arkansas, the traffic that comes through there, they're the key of unlocking the rest of the state and the region. But Fayetteville real estate is a very tricky business, and it took us years to find the location that was suitable for our brand. And we were very happy to be able to buy and renovate an old Pizza Hut. We love renovating old spaces. It kind of meets our DNA of a company. And we opened up in November of 2021. And it's been a really fun journey. Again, I think every building brings its new challenges, and we're really excited about how we're looking at growth in the future. But we finally were able to crack that Fayetteville nut, and we're in there, and we're having a lot of fun with that store.
Good. And what part of town is that one in? I didn't look at the address.
So if you think about kind of the north, south, east, west, there's a north-south streets called North College. It connects the college all the way up to the main kind of like shopping region up around Joyce or the mall. It's been a tried and proven north-south corridor for, decades. And so we went ahead and found this building along that corridor, which we felt drew both from the community and also was able to be close enough to campus. We could attract college kids. But we're really, again, we're a business of the community. So we didn't want to focus our search exclusively on U of A, nor did we just want to be out in a suburb. We really wanted to be in the heart of what Fayetteville has to offer and really what makes that town so vibrant.
Sure. Well, yeah, and, tens of thousands of people roll into town for football games, too. So I'm sure they are all hungry when they wake up the next morning hoping that the Razorbacks have won. So that's cool. Well, listen, thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Heaping Spoonful with our guests Sam Russell and Hunter Kissinger of the Buttered Biscuit with 4 restaurants across Northwest Arkansas. Hang on, and we'll be right back.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of Heaping Spoonful. We at Benny Keith Foods enjoy talking about the food scene almost as much as we enjoy providing the top quality ingredients that help restaurateurs and chefs across the Mid-South create their magic. Now let's dive even deeper into the culinary world with your host, Kelly Bass.
Welcome back to Heaping Spoonful and our conversation with Sam and Hunter. So clearly, guys, you're doing many things right, and soon we'll get more into the menu. But I just have to ask, there are 4 booming buttered biscuits across Northwest Arkansas. Sam, have you and Anna thought about whether you want to just try to organically grow this with number 5 and then number 6, wherever they would be? Or have you even considered the concept as a franchise?
Kelly, we're interested in growing at a sustainable, consistent rate that allows us to continue to focus on the people. We are in conversation with location number 5 and working through that leasing. Location soon to be announced. I think you guys are going to be very happy. But we're also working with we're trying to grow smarter. So we just contracted with a professional restaurant incubator growth consultant that has helped many large brands scale from kind of this 4 to 5 range up to about 70 or 80. And they've taken us on as a client. We're really excited. We believe that we can do our growth. Right now, franchising is a possibility, but it's one out there in the future. We're not really focused on that. Sure. We really want to be the best we can be today. And continue to focus on our operations and what we do best every day, which is love on the people and bring great handcrafted food to the marketplace.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
And hey, one other thing, Kelly, is recently, right before Christmas, we actually launched the Biscuit Bus, and this is a whole new business model that we think is we've actually already seen some really great excitement off of it. It's not number 5 storefront, but it is able to take advantage of kind of the shifting people groups, whether it be farmers markets or town festivals and parades, sporting events. And it is a mobile buttered biscuit. We can do full scope, baking out of it. We have just an amazing chef who's working with us that is helping bring that to life. And it's been a really fun learning opportunity. And we're really excited about the future of being able to use that to get
I saw the
spot.
picture. Yeah, I saw the picture. It looks cool. So am I misunderstanding? Are you telling me you can crank out the entire menu out of the biscuit bus?
Yes, sir, we can. We even have a mixer on that thing, a commercial 20-quart mixer. We can grate that, shred the butter, bake the biscuits.
Crazy.
Baby, we can do it all. It's a pretty awesome truck.
That is great. Well, again, Sam, you and Anna are Michiganders, and so I'm sure there's biscuits in Michigan. I'm sure there's biscuits everywhere. Heck, you can, but they're really considered a Southern thing. So how did the Buttered Biscuit become the name of a restaurant that certainly serves fabulous biscuits, but a whole lot else?
We really went back to the brand architecture of who we wanted to serve. We know Northwest Arkansas is a melting pot for the Central South, and I use that term, where it's a mixers. And if you look at our menu, omelets and scrambles are big in the Midwest. So we wanted to bring a flair from the Midwest down. That's our heritage. We understand biscuits and gravy are paramount. Fried chicken is critical in this region. We have acai bowls from the West Coast. We have shrimp Cajun Benedicts, both from a Louisianan flair, but also a seaside, really kind of an East Coast vibe. We really wanted to bring a menu that's, kind of brings the best from the four corners of this country together. And you can not only sit down and have a great experience, but food that you're familiar with, and something that we like to say is, fits your dietary preferences. So one of the things that Buttered Biscuit is just breaks away from the pack with is our gluten-free options. We do everyday gluten-free biscuits and gravy, waffles and pancakes, French toast, fried chicken, beignets. Like, we do breakfast appetizers and menu, and I'll let Hunter get into this a little bit more. And it sets us apart as a competitor in the marketplace because, gluten-free dietary preferences or needs drive purchasing decisions in households and of a pretty dramatic number. And that's something that, as a company, myself being gluten intolerant and having a condition that I really have to be careful of, I kind of set it as a brand pillar early on. I was like, babe, we're not going to do a breakfast restaurant if I can't eat bacon and eggs and pancakes and actually enjoy the pancakes at my own restaurant. And she's like, done, let's do gluten-free. And that was the conversation that has pushed forward this gluten-free pillar of the restaurant. And it has been, it's certainly been a great, a great offering for us.
Yeah. Well, more and more people have realized that that's what they really need. But how did you become known as the Buttered Biscuit? Who pulled the name up? Where did that come from?
Yeah, my wife came up with the name. We were kind of messing around with different alliterations, things that we wanted to, that were both ownable and really spoke to who we were. And biscuits, I love butter. My wife loves baking. It was kind of, we wanted to place something. We're messing around with a few different names. There are a few restaurants that predate us in the trademark game, but they never filed for trademark or patent, kind of protection on the name. But based on use, there's one in North Carolina and one, might be one Jersey and one up in Seattle area. But, after talking with some trademark attorneys and, we have now successfully earned the name. We've defended the name. And we own this mark, and we're really excited about that feature. As brands are looking to grow, it is important to own the intellectual property beyond just the menus, because ultimately you're growing a business that is becoming known by the name that's bigger than Sam and Anna. our names, and I tell this to Hunter every day, like the people are what make us, drives us. But ultimately, this brand is bigger than me. It's bigger than him. It's bigger than any one of our managers, because this brand is building a trust relationship with our guests. And that's what we need to maintain focus on.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. And I would imagine some of your background at Kellogg is what told you that we need to look into this name thing and get the legal right to own it and to use it. Because as you said, there are 4 today. It looks like there's going to be number 5. You're going to announce that moderately soon. Then there might be 80 one day. And, we want people to say, hey, I know if I go to the Buttered Biscuit, it's going to be good because I ate at the one in Fayetteville, and now I'm in Tulsa, and boy, I want to have one. So anyway, that's cool. Well, listen, one other thing, and you've talked a lot about what you believe in as business owners and operators, and clearly I think it's cool that you guys have had a connection in your faith and in your commitment to ministries and also to helping people, have a chance at a better life. But I also like the fact, and it's not uncommon these days, that you really focus on fresh, seasonal, local ingredients, which is a great thing to say, but it can be hard to do based on what season it is and what's available. Has that been hard to stay true to those principles, or did you guys figure that out from the get-go that, this is going to be easy? We can just, and I hope Benny Keith helps you with it.
Right as I onboarded, they're really about investing locally. And so having a part of our brand card is we want to serve an honest breakfast. And in order to be honest about what we're serving is we need to know where those ingredients are being sourced from and come from. And so the challenge is tough, especially if you talk about scaling. You really have to go back to the heart of where you came from and kind of analyze that. And when we're doing menu design and different things, we always go back to that, like what's available to source, what's possible. And so it's always present in our mind, but it being a part of our brand is kind of what's helped keep focus to that, is because we can't serve it honestly if we don't know exactly how it was produced. And so Benny Keith has definitely been a huge help. So when we bring them, they know who we are, they know our brand, they know how we think about things. And so we can bring it to them and they can give us options. And once again, like Sam was saying earlier, if it was just us trying to figure this out, it would definitely be a lot more challenging. But having others who have insights that go beyond ours has helped us be able to stick to that.
Sure, that makes perfect sense, and that's part of the value add that a company like Benny Keith and others can offer, is that we don't just bring you food, we help you figure out your strategies and also make sure that we're offering products that fit with your brand promise to your customers. And now let's talk. And I know everybody's been waiting on this, and this is where I start drooling even more than I already have. Let's start talking about things that are on your menu, because I'll tell you that is as diverse a breakfast menu as you're going to see. And Sam, you already mentioned you had a goal there, and I like the Central South, and that's really kind of what Northwest Arkansas is when you look around at the region, and you brought things from that are popular in different parts of the area of the United States. But starting at the top left with the apps, the very first one I see is the Buttered Biscuit Cinnamon Roll. So tell us a little bit about exactly what that is, because it's not just a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, that cinnamon roll is, we call it the Buttered Biscuit Cinnamon Roll because it's actually made with our biscuit dough. And it was designed by one of our prep people, going back to trying to learn from cooks. And one of our prep people at Moberly from our first location, really, she came up with that cinnamon roll recipe. And it's been a part of the menu since, and it's really been a big hit. We make a chocolate caramel sauce to put on it, and you can always add some cream cheese icing, and it's really become a huge favorite with the guests and our team. Our team loves it.
Well, I will tell you that my wife, Ashley, is a cinnamon roll fan, and we will be to one of the Buttered Biscuits, and we will start with a cinnamon roll. So one thing I was thinking about, because neither of you guys come from a restaurant background, but somebody's got to know how to cook all this stuff. And I would think that, again, I know now that you use the same dough, but making a biscuit from scratch is not easy. I don't even try. My grandmother did, but I don't think my mother even did. Did you all have to learn how to make biscuits, or did you just hire somebody who knew how to make biscuits?
Both and. So store, I was new to the process, but I was trained by Tina, the one who came up with the cinnamon roll recipe. And I grew up my grandparents lived next door on a farm, and we grew up baking and making, and I mean, every Thanksgiving. So I grew up in a family, I don't want to say a typical Southern family, but we were always around the kitchen. We were always in the kitchen making something. So I had a little bit of experience, and food was a passion of mine. But really learned from Tina at our Moberly location. And when she taught me, she in sports, I have a sports background, but she trained my eyes on what to look at when what to pay attention to when you put it into the mixer. What are the key essentials? And I know Sam also brought a lot of input from people that they brought in, because I think they had in the beginning maybe 15 different versions, and I'll let him kind of talk about that.
And the biscuits were an evolution for sure. We actually partnered with a local baking company initially. We were like, hey, Kelly, I'm the same way. I'm like, I need to partner with an expert. So we partnered with a local baking company. It was great. The problem was it wasn't made in-house, and biscuits were our name. Yeah. So we embarked about 6 months in to take over the process of biscuit making. We actually went to a culinary school here, Brightwater, very well known,
prominent,
prestigious. Yep. And we hired one of their chefs as a consultant to help come in and develop that initial biscuit recipe at scale. And Tina, you've heard her mention, she really grasped on to the concepts and the initial recipe that they helped us to develop. And she adapted it and began training. And this goes into, a lot of people are familiar with like a method of, we throw around in Christian circles the term discipleship. All that really means is like with me, like walk with me while I show you. It's a whole apprenticeship model. This isn't anything new. But what we found is as we train people through an apprenticeship model of a with me approach, we end up getting people who are able to reproduce faster with higher rates of excellence than ever before. And I think biscuit making is something we've built videos, we have built recipes. It's not just the ingredients, but it's how you handle the ingredients. And I think what's been really exciting is that different people along the way have made meaningful contributions to how consistent we can make that biscuit across all 4 stores. It's really a beautiful thing.
You're talking about making videos and things, because I hope Tina's with you forever. But now you're, as you said, you're documenting and you're putting processes and you're putting procedures in place that people can replicate in other locations. And now, and like you said, at the Buttered Biscuit, boy, we better be able to make a good biscuit. Do you have a sense of how many biscuits, if Saturday or Sunday is your busiest day, and I don't know if that's the truth, across your 4 stores, how many biscuits do you all make in a day?
Oh, that's a great question.
You don't know.
In a day, I would say in a day on a Saturday, 500 plus biscuits across the company easily.
So you better have it down pat. And I'll tell you another thing. I again, on that app menu, I get to the bottom of it and I see the pigs in a biscuit, which I'll take. I guess pigs in a blanket are like in a canned crescent roll or something. But pigs in a biscuit, are those standard? Is that just a breakfast sausage link, basically wrapped up in a biscuit?
Yes, it is a standard breakfast sausage link, but we use our leftover biscuit dough. Once again, trying to make those efficiencies in the back of house. Our leftover biscuit dough we wrap in those sausage links and put them in and kind of glaze them with some butter.
I'm on that too. My wife will be eating the cinnamon roll. I'll be eating the pigs in a biscuit. Before we get on to the rest of it, and again, as I've said before, and we'll get to, you have so much variety. You've got a beautiful sweets area. So you got waffles and pancakes and French toast. And again, Sam has told us you can get those glutinous or gluten-free. And then the Lila lemon cakes. And tell us about that. And I'm guessing somebody named Lila maybe came up with those?
I'm laughing. So, Kelly, the Lila lemon cakes are an inside joke between my wife and I. And my mother gave my wife a lemon tree when we opened the first restaurant, just as a fun gift. It wasn't anything to do with the restaurant. It was a lemon tree. 3 years later, that lemon tree, by darn it, had not produced a single lemon. So we started when we came up with, we were working with one of our kind of chefs, and he came up with a delicious lemon curd, which we make in-house from scratch, blueberries, lemon. It was a beautiful combination. we were like, what do we name it? I was like, we have to name it Lila, after your lemon tree, because at least we're going to get, lemon out of that lemon tree, even if it never is produced.
That's great.
So it's kind of an inside joke, Kelly. It's one of the fun sparkle things with a restaurant. You can name something, anything you want, and over time it takes on a life.
And only you all know the inside joke, which is that lemon tree may be a cool tree, but it doesn't kick out any lemons. That's
it's a dud. It's a dud.
So,
but hey, I'll tell you what, those lemon curd Lila lemon cake pancakes are a top seller. They crush it every day. It's fun to have, that lemon tree live in honor.
That is good. Now, is the menu that's featured at all 4 of your locations now, is it very similar to when you started, or is it evolved, or is it like, well, we didn't always have this, we've added that, or is it pretty similar to when you opened your doors?
So there are, I would say, high degree of similarity. There are, let's see here, breakfast appetizers, beignets, cinnamon rolls have been on there since day one. Biscuits and gravy, French toast, waffles, pancakes, day one. There's a daylight skillet that's still been on there. It's been a top seller. It's with our house roasted corned beef. 12 hours we slow roast this stuff. And it's our version of, corned beef hash. It's been on there since day one. Chicken waffles, our bacon jam, day one. We realized very quickly that, we were talking about earlier, like, this is bigger than us. There are certain foods that our guests have come to associate with the buttered biscuit. And it's our responsibility to now deliver on that brand promise. So I would say, like, by numbers, probably 50% of our menu is been on there since day one. We have a sandwich called the Eureka Sandwich, named after the Arkansas town Eureka Springs. That sandwich has been on there since day one. It's been bestseller sandwich for years now. Okay. And, again, I think that creating these craveable flavors that are non-replicatable or difficult to replicate at home is really our brand promise of what we want to do at scale in a meaningful, using economies of scale, do it in a meaningful way.
Well, I will tell you that my least favorite thing when I go to a restaurant is looking at a menu and saying, none of this really appeals to me, but I'm gonna settle for that. What I love is to go in a place and there's 6 things I want, and I think, well, if I love the first one that I get, I'll be back at least 5 more times. So this is, again, and I know you know this, but I don't know if you know this part. There's a really famous breakfast restaurant right in Hot Springs, right across from the Arlington Hotel, called the Pancake Shop. Well, there's not a biscuit at the Pancake Shop. There's not gravy. There's not grits. It's an order and sort. There's ham, there's pancakes, there's eggs, there's toast. Toast is they may have an English muffin. So you all have said, because again, you've got the sweet stuff. You can get your eggs and bacon and toast. You can get an omelet. You can get, a Benedict. And let's talk about the Benedicts, because again, Eggs Benedict, for so long, it's the same thing. It's an English muffin with a poached egg and a piece of Canadian bacon underneath the poached egg, and there's hollandaise sauce, and it's fine and good. And one of the ones you have, the back 40, is basically pretty close to that. But then you've got the Cajun shrimp version, which is nothing like the classic. And then the Southern style, which subs a biscuit for the English muffin and sausage gravy for hollandaise. And it's just really biscuits and gravy with a poached egg. So am I about right about how those Benedicts play out?
Yes, you're exactly right. We're actually looking to expand this part of our menu as well, because, like I said, to create that kind of excitement in this section. And the Southern style was actually our first transition to doing a biscuit as the base. And moving forward, that's something our guests can expect, is the biscuit will be the base moving forward, kind of create just something different. And we're the Buttered Biscuit, so we want to incorporate our biscuits in as much as possible. But I think Cajun shrimp, a lot of the menu, as you heard, it was kind of like all over the U.S., and a lot of that came from Sam's travels in Kellogg. He got to experience different food in different places. And so I think that's why you see such a variety is we do want to be cultured people and have a diverse section on our menu where people can choose. They may love a Benedict, but they can have 3 or 4 different versions of that.
That's great. And then go ahead, Sam.
I was gonna say, Hunter, can you talk to, not just on the Benedict, but we're launching a whole new kind of area that's really exciting on the menu coming up here in a couple of months. If we could tease this, Kelly.
Yeah, definitely wanted to speak to that. We actually went through and took photography yesterday. Menu design is something that, during the COVID and all of that, a lot of times you're just trying to get the doors open, and we've really been trying to focus on menu and what we want it to look like. And we're excited about what's coming. We are going to bring grits back to the menu, which we're really excited about. And we're also going to add a lunch portion to our menu. It's something that we've heard from our guests for a while is, they would love to have some more lunch options available to them. So towards that, and kind of looking forward to, once again, creating some diverse food in those categories. We kind of look at ourselves and say, there's a lot of people that do a lot of things, and we don't want to just do what everyone else does. We want to kind of put our signature and our brand on that. And so as we've been, lunch is coming soon, we're going to bring grits back. And so you're going to see some different variations to our menu that people haven't been expecting from us. So we're looking forward to that.
What time do your restaurants close?
They close at 2 p.m.
Okay, well then lunch makes perfect sense. And I walk in there at 12:30, and maybe I don't want breakfast. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And
we've actually, our southern region, we've been staying open until 3 p.m. on the weekends because we've seen, the crowd just comes in a little bit later, and they love staying open a little bit longer. So that may be something that we move to in the future as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, again, continue to look at the menu. I'm bopping back up a little bit to the signature dishes, and the two that really grabbed me because of the descriptions. I mean, if you just told me breakfast burrito and avocado toast, this is Avocado Grove toast, I think I'd know what they were, but I wouldn't. So tell us about the burrito and that comeback sauce, and then the amazing combination that this avocado toast, and I was looking over the menu with my wife, she's like, oh, I'm so getting that, because it takes the whole concept up a lot from just a piece of toast with avocado. So talk about those two in particular, if you would, the burrito and the Avocado Grove toast.
So yeah, the burrito specifically, we, once again, fresh ingredients that we're putting inside, and we take that burrito and we put it onto the grill and kind of give it a cold crisp, and it just looks beautiful. But the comeback sauce, in my opinion, is really what sets it off. Our comeback sauce is something that we make in-house, once again, and it just has this zing to it that it makes you want to come back for more. And honestly, we put it on everything. If somebody orders a biscuit sandwich and they don't know about it, I'll come to the table and be like, man, you got to try this comeback sauce. And I think it's one of the only items on our menu, excluding we just added a scramble bowl that the comeback sauce comes on top. But people love to be able to have handheld things to eat. And being able to dip in that comeback sauce is what kind of makes a dish sometimes. And that's definitely with our breakfast burrito, we believe. It really highlights it and makes it a dish that people crave. As far as
what's the gist of the comeback sauce? I'm not asking for the recipe, but what's the flavor profile of that?
So yeah, I'm gonna let Sam give this one to you.
So I would say that if you had to say, all right, what's the flavor profile? It's an Asian flavor profile. So what's really interesting about this, again, we live in a highly diverse, multicultural area, and you don't expect to walk into a Southern Buttered Biscuit restaurant, Central South biscuits and gravy restaurant, and have a flair of Asia. And that's exactly what this sauce base is. Oh, cool. And it's really fun to see people eat it, and they're like, oh, that's very different than what I was expecting in a very positive way.
Well, now let's talk about that Avocado Grove toast. Because, again, explain it to people who haven't looked at the menu, and you should go to their website and check it out, and you'll definitely find your way to one of their spots.
Yeah, the Avocado Grove toast is a hit. We take sourdough bread and butter it up and grill it and put Swiss cheese on it. And then we make our own avocado spread in-house with fresh avocados. And I think, when you're doing something with avocado, freshness is the key. And so we make it daily. And I think that's really what separates it from a lot of what people may experience. It doesn't come into a bag. We cut these avocados open, add a little bit to it to make it a little bit more desirable. And then we put eggs on top with some pepita seeds. And I think pepita seeds add a good crunch to it. And, man, the guests love it. They keep coming back for it.
Is that like an open face you use a fork on, or is that a put a piece of bread on top and try to pick it up thing?
No, it's definitely a knife and fork experience.
Okay.
Not pick it up
with the eggs, I guess.
Yes.
Unless you want eggs all down your arms. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It comes with 2 sunny side eggs on top. So definitely something you get the yolk in.
Sounds so good. All right. The last one I want to mention, because again, your menu is so broad and deep too, is you have 5 omelets, and you talk, Sam, about the omelet, popularity, particularly in other parts of the country. And you got 4 biscuit sandwich, which of course you do. You're the Buttered Biscuit. What are the big sellers among the omelets and the biscuit sandwiches?
It's a great question. We've seen a transition actually over the past year and a half. The Farmer Son used to be kind of the lead omelet. We've learned that anything that we put gravy on, people order. They love it. I think it's because our gravy's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's actually transitioned. The Goat Trail has become our top selling omelet in that section of our menu. And
what's in that one?
So the Goat Trail is basically all our vegetables. We've got spinach, we've got asparagus, we've got tomatoes, we got onions and peppers, and goat cheese that we put inside this. And so that's, people are loving kind of the vegetable option that we have on the menu, and it's all fresh ingredients, once again, locally sourced. And I think that adds a level of freshness that people desire.
Yeah, that's totally cool. So again, running 4 restaurants isn't nearly enough to keep you busy, as well as planning number 5. You also do catering. Is catering, is that all? Have you always done catering, or did that start later? And is it a significant portion of your business, or is it just a little bitty slice?
No, it's a great question. I think, I'll share about this. We hadn't done a lot of catering prior. And last year we probably took a significant step forward. We actually did a wedding catering for over 600 people, and really we're like, hey, we've never done this before, but hey, let's try this. It was a significant operation. Took a year to plan at some level. And we were made to order omelets. We had a pancake bar, and we had biscuits and gravy. So 3 separate stations set up. And so we've gotten to do that a couple of times. We got to do that at the University of Arkansas for some of the recruits when they were coming into town. So it's continuing to grow, and we're trying to figure out how to do those things more efficient. After the first one, we looked at each other and we're like, man, that took way too much effort. And so we went to the drawing board and was like, okay, how can we, create a more efficient process? But we really, as guests come to us, we're kind of in a learning curve on how to do caterings well and at a larger level. And we do believe the biscuit bus to be a huge part of that. One of the things that we realized with that other one is like, we have to be operational 6 a.m. when our cooks arrive. And equipment we've sourced from like 3 of our stores. And those are all over Northwest Arkansas. So the bus is going to be a place of, where if we need to go out and go do events and different things, it's going to add that value. And so we're definitely seeing an increase, especially with a lot of the healthcare institutes in the area. We get weekly calls to go drop off, a scrambled buffet for them, or biscuits and gravy bar, and different things. Sure. So definitely seeing an increase as COVID's behind us.
Well, it certainly, opens up a whole nother marketplace, because otherwise, now with the biscuit bus, you're mobile and you're out there. Otherwise, people have to come to you. So, and I looked at the catering menu, and of course, you talked about a scrambled eggs buffet, and you doing omelets to order and doing pancakes, but you also have herb-crusted chicken, rosemary garlic rub pork, tenderloin, a quinoa vegetable salad. So, hey, you're already in the lunch business even before you become officially in your restaurants in the lunch business. So, do the same people who know how to make the best biscuit going know how to make rosemary garlic rub pork tenderloin, or is that a different bunch of folks?
So, a lot of this is our management team. Our managers are, devoted to handcrafted food, and we don't ask them a lot of this, but we try to have recipes, and we walk alongside them and teach them how to make these things. And they do an incredible job. I think the biggest thing is Sam and I are both learners. We want to learn from people, and we want to hire people that also have a strong desire to learn. And so when you kind of have that, it really reduces the amount of time spent during the learning process, because people, they just have that desire within them. And so basically a lot of our managers lead those projects. And we've actually, I know the head coach of Conway High School, and they were coming up to play in this area, and was like, man, can y'all cater for our football team? I'm like, of course, man, we can do that. He's like, well, what can you do for us? Like, I know y'all just serve breakfast. And I'm like, no, we've got you, man. And we actually were able to do like a lemon crusted chicken, green beans, potatoes, and biscuits for them and their football team in the playoffs.
Oh, that's great.
That's
cool.
A lot of it is just getting it exposed to people that, man, we want to make handcrafted food, and we can do that in whichever area.
Yes, we're the Buttered Biscuit, but doesn't mean we can't be a lunch place too, and dinner, and whatever you cook good food. Well, listen, Sam and Hunter, thank you so much for taking time to tell our listeners about all that you got going on with the Buttered Biscuit. It's really exciting to watch how quickly you've grown it and how committed you are to your people and to your craft and to your customers. So, and thanks to all of you who are listening to this episode of Heaping Spoonful. We want to remind you we put new episodes up the first and third Tuesday of each month. So keep an eye and an ear out for them, and go back and check out some of the ones you've missed, because they're always out there. All right, goodbye, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Heaping Spoonful. On behalf of all of us at Benny Keith Foods, Mid-South Division, please know how much we love connecting you with the legends of the culinary scene and their unique stories. I look forward to the next time we can offer you another Heaping Spoonful.